Joining us now, dual threat analyst, Uncle B, friend of the program, Blaine Fowler. He's also a national champion. Blaine, welcome back to the studio.
What's up, guys? So McKay Cannon's the guest tonight on Dave's show?
He is.
So his football coach played football with me here, Rich Hobbs. Linebacker.
From Shelley.
Yeah, from Shelley. And he called me when McKay played in that Utah Valley game, and he just said, just so you know, he would be a lights-out slot receiver for BYU. He says, the kid is phenomenal. He's as good at football as he is at basketball. BYU football ought to be recruiting him over to play slot receiver because he's a gamer and he will not drop a ball.
State champ.
I'm like, all right, let's get him out there.
Yes.
Let's get McKay out there.
State champ.
Why not?
Shelley.
Who knew?
Great athlete, great competitor. He's one of my favorite players on that basketball team right now.
Well, and the addition of McKay Cannon, starting with that Utah Valley game, made a lot of people feel like, hey, BYU basketball is better suited to compete and maybe win the conference tournament in Las Vegas. So let's go to our Twitter question. Right now, as currently constituted, why isn't BYU basketball better suited to win, as Jerem calls it, the Gonzaga Invitational?
It's true. That's true.
Sure,
Look
right?
at Mark Fee's record, right? It's true. But a guy like McKay Cannon, who's a very good defender, tough guy defender, that mentality on that basketball team is what makes them better suited to win when you got to play multiple games in a few days. Because there may be a game where you're playing against an opponent that you should beat, but you're not shooting it well. And those are games that good defensive teams lose. Those are upset games. Really good teams can lock people down and they can figure out how to win ugly because they can defend. And that's why I think BYU has a chance, because they're better defensively. They can lock teams down the stretch. They've been able to do that. They're a good free throw shooting team, especially in clutch time. Now we just got to get everybody on the same page offensively. TJ, I think, has played much better in the last couple of weeks, especially at Gonzaga. He loves to play against Gonzaga. What is the deal with that? He's like at his best in that environment.
Zag killer.
Which is a good thing. But you have Elijah not play well in that. And I have to think getting knocked in the head in the LMU game, missing a bunch of minutes there, kind of put his team in a funk because they look to him for scoring when they're having scoring droughts. He's the guy, and you can't tell me he was right in that Gonzaga game.
And then he hit his shin in that game too.
And so if he's 100%, because he's been the most consistent player on this basketball team all season long, you can count on him. That is an aberration, the way he played at Gonzaga, and I have to attribute it to he just wasn't right. Now he's got some time this week to get healed up before they play again. They have two teams that they should beat, where they don't have to go on the road. He gets healthy. If TJ plays the way he's played the last couple of games, and Elijah's his normal old self, then they play defense the way they've been playing defense. I think they're just better prepared, and the makeup of this team mentally is better to make a little bit of a run in this tournament. Now,
it would require a semifinal win.
That's
Gonzaga or St. Mary's, which would be incredible. BYU's 0-4 against the Zags, 0-1 against St. Mary's.
Yeah,
but at some point, BYU's going to beat them.
This is the weirdest thing for me to say. I'm going to listen to myself say this and go, what? I think I'd rather have them play Gonzaga in the semis.
Amen. I said that same thing.
And the reason is the matchup this year. They match up really well with them this year. And we'll see when Gonzaga comes here at the end of the season. But with a healthy Elijah and on all cylinders, they match up. St. Mary's, man, they're really good this year. They're playing up to expectation. They lost a couple of games early that they shouldn't have, but now they're playing like a really veteran team. So Saturday night, I was hanging out with them Saturday, by the way. I was down doing Air Force in San Diego State for ESPN, and St. Mary's was in my hotel. They were in the Mission Valley Marriott because they were playing USD. I walked in, and I'm like, that big dude looks like Jock Landale. And then I walk over, and I go, that is Jock. So this is a team that's been together for a long time. When it's clutch, when it's down the stretch, they know how to get stops. They make the extra pass. They know who's supposed to get the shot. They take the right shots, and they just execute. They did it again on the road at San Diego on Saturday. They're in a tight ball game. They've got to execute on the stretch. They just do it flawlessly right now. I think they're very equipped to get to the finals and win that tournament this year. And so saying that you can never discount Gonzaga, but I feel like St. Mary's is what BYU wants to be and will be next year or the year after with veteran guys. And so that matchup's tougher for BYU right now. They take BYU out of what they want to do, and they do to BYU what BYU wants to do to them. Where Gonzaga just tries to athletically match up, BYU's better athletically than they've been. I would rather see them play Gonzaga in the semis. I think they have a better shot. Does that sound crazy?
No, but then you face the Gonzaga crowd and you're in Vegas.
It's a home game.
It's just really tough.
It's a home game for the
talking on
Zags.
the court. There's a lot going off the court there too.
Yeah, and so it's
it matches up better in the kennel with Gonzaga than they do in Vegas.
Isn't that the strangest thing?
Weird, right?
Yeah. So that's my feeling. I think they're better equipped. Those are two really good basketball teams. And to me, it's a shame that BYU dropped that Pacific game and the LMU game. Really hurts them because I cover the Atlantic 10 and I cover the Mountain West. Those leagues are down this year. The Atlantic 10 may be a one-bid league. Rhode Island's really good. They thought St. Bonaventure would be another bit, but they beat Syracuse and Maryland on the road early. But now they've been bad in conference play. That's a league that usually gets 3 teams in. And now the Mountain West, Nevada's looking like it, and Boise State's trying, but if they drop another one, that could be a one-bid league, maybe 2. So there should be more bids open, and this is a year that the WCC, I felt like if BYU took care of business and didn't lose to what do you guys call them? Non-Saint Zaga teams, I feel like this was a 3-bid league this year because of what's going on in other leagues. But you can't drop games to Pacific and LMU. That just kills you.
2 losses. BYU goes for 2.8 a year. I'm hoping there's not one next week. I don't see one this week. Next week certainly a challenge as well.
At Pepperdine and at San Diego road tests, Blaine and I will be calling those games.
Yes, we'll be there.
The road.
We're going on the road.
We'll find out. Now, Jeremy and I agree that BYU is better suited to compete in Las Vegas because they value possession. They play defense. They're just better suited to do that, and they've shown that in actual games this year. But I feel strongly that if BYU can just make a few more 3-pointers. Now we're talking. I mean, I'm looking at the losses, and I just pulled up a few box scores here. UT Arlington, BYU shoots 6 for 27 from the 3-point line. Alabama, BYU 4 of 17. Go back to last week, Gonzaga, 3 of 20.
What was Eli alone?
Oh, for
from
8.
3, right? So if Eli normally, I mean, he's a 45% guy. You can rely on him.
Minimum 3 there.
Right.
Maybe 4.
So if he makes 4 threes, and TJ plays the way he's playing, now Gonzaga's on the ropes and they got problems, And so I mean, you guys watched that game just like I did. He wasn't right in that game. And he got smacked in the game before. And so if he can get his mind back right and play the way he's playing, and TJ continues to be the way he is, I think BYU's a better basketball team than they were last year. I do.
Yeah, we felt that way, despite BYU being 7-5 in league, which is tied for their worst through 12 games. Let's shift to football. Tomorrow's football signing day. We've got a 2-hour show. We're very excited about that, an hour earlier than normal, from 11 to 1 Eastern time. BYU's coming off of a 4-9 season, new offensive coordinator. How do you feel BYU will represent itself on signing day tomorrow?
From what I've heard, we're not going to talk about individual players, right?
Until
tomorrow, we will. But I like this class, and I think people are going to go, oh, you know what? That bad season didn't affect them that much. They still got the guys that they wanted to get. Now, keep in mind, with BYU, more than any other school in the country, the recruiting class, it sends a message of where the program is, but the classes typically have 0 or very little impact the next year because of missions and all that they do. Here's the good news. I feel like BYU's in a better position with what they bring back this year to not have to rely on kids that are just coming in. Now, we're not going to talk about players. There's maybe a grad transfer that I think might have a big impact next year, but freshmen that are coming in, they shouldn't have to play. And when I look at this team across the board on offense and defense, the players they had that were young, that were backing up last year will step up and they'll be better. And on offense, where everybody thinks there's a ton of need, there really isn't. Because where it seems like there's need, it was because there were so many injuries last year. They're stacked at tight end, but it seemed like we only had one last year. They're stacked at running back. It seemed like they just had Squally and he was only healthy at the end of the year last year. They got a lot of receivers coming back. They maybe could upgrade there a little bit. The offensive line, the guys that were backing up last year, these young guys, there's NFL talent that's going to move in and play now this year. So the one spot on offense that has to get more production and be better and more consistent is the quarterback position.
And it's going to be a fun race.
But you're not going to fix that by somebody you're bringing in right now. It's got to be one of the guys that was there has to progress and get better.
It's Bo or Joe or Tanner.
Right. And one of those guys, I believe, will step up, and if they can keep them all healthy, then that makes a difference. So that, to me, there's all kinds of talent, And everybody's thinking, man, do they need to go get a receiver? Do they need to go get a tight end? Do they need to get more running backs? They really don't. They need it for 3 years from now when these kids all come back from missions. But they've got to get production from the quarterback position, and they're going to be fine. And then on defense, one of the young guys needs to step up because they've lost one of the best players they've had defensively in a long, long time in Fred Warner. They got the linebacking core needs to play better. I think there's talent all around defensively. I think the secondary is just fine. They got talent. Their young guys played. But at linebacker, they have to be more productive, and at quarterback, they need to be way more productive. But it's not going to be solved tomorrow. It's got to be solved by the guys that are already there.
Uncle B bringing it in Studio B. Don't let the smile and the boyish good looks fool you. He will take your money on a golf course.
And by the way, it's supposed to be like high 50s next week.
Hey, let's
so we're
go.
going.
Let's go,
We're going.
man. Let's go. Blaine, great to talk to you.
Good to talk to you guys.